So one of the biggest catalysts for Tesla's sales and the stock is happening in just 1 month from now. On January 1st, 2024, the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, the incentives will become at point of sale rather than a tax refund. This means buyers can get an instant reduction on price at the time of buying the electric vehicle. Right now, though, that act has that refund being reduced to just $3,750 instead of that original full $7,500 in the new year, specifically for electric vehicles with batteries from foreign adversaries like China. Well, the good news is that there is now talk by the Biden administration to give a temporary reprieve on this. Good news for electric vehicle sales, and Tesla will be the big winner. So today we have Brian White joining us. Brian has his own YouTube channel called MyTeslaWeekend. He's actually on location right now in Austin. Tell me what you're thinking and how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm here at the Hyperloop Plaza, the little community center, just 15 minutes from Austin, next to the Boring Company and SpaceX. It's very fun, very exciting. Figured I'd do something a little special for you guys this week. How are we feeling about this? Of course. How are we feeling about this? I mixed opinions, of course. This feels very crazy. It feels like a crazy idea to kick the can further down the road. I get it. The car companies in the U.S. are struggling to actually build compelling electric cars, but that's not the buyer's problem. That's their problem. And what they really need to be doing is, because these incentives are so aggressive for things like hybrids, maybe build those instead, I guess, if that's something you're good at, you guys. I did take quite a bit of issue with the phrasing batteries from our adversaries. I mean, they're our second or third largest trading partner. So if they're our adversaries, maybe all these steps we're taking to get batteries built in the U.S. is going to be a good thing after all, and we should stop fighting it and just allow that transition to happen if these really are our adversaries.
Okay. I'm surprised that you take that position. Let's continue that conversation. So let me first explain what's happening. So this news just came out that the U.S. is now talking about reprieving this initial IRA tax credit rule that was supposed to start in 2024. So they're, initially discussed giving automakers a temporary reprieve to limit this consumer tax credit for electric vehicles that contain certain materials from foreign adversaries. So this is a Michigan senator said, this is Democrat Senator Debbie Stabenow. They're discussing about phasing in these rules, specifically for battery parts or minerals from China, and like you said, other foreign adversaries from the full $7,500. So what was supposed to happen is that $7,500 was supposed to be broken down to $3,750 because by 2024, this new rule comes in. What they're going to do here is they're talking about reprieving that, phasing it in. So this doesn't allow tax breaks for vehicles containing battery components or critical materials from foreign entities as of 2024. Maybe they'll push that off. So this is the kind of opinions that I kind of gathered from my friends here. So Jeff Lutz, he's a regular on the channel. He says, hey, I have to give the admin credit for being responsive and sticklers to their agenda. While excuses are pouring in from Legacy Auto, this admin says, okay, on intermediate requirements and holds firm to driving EV adoption. Now, if they can just tweak the hybrids to focus less there. But, this is kind of good news, not only for Tesla, but for the other manufacturers who are clearly nowhere near being able to take advantage of these credits. And then Yashu, he also has his own YouTube channel called Hit That Bid. And he says, hey, this looks weak on the administration. And the concession cries, our buddies kept telling us they're going to go extinct. So he doesn't like it. He's like you, and he thinks that there are geopolitical reasons why they should still be incentivized. So, yeah, so you do prefer Yashu's statement about this?
I prefer Jeff's. I hadn't seen that tweet. Jeff is not just a friend of the channel, but a very, very sharp guy. He's right. Postponing it by a year is the right thing to do. I would disagree that it's a geopolitical problem. It's a logistics problem. You can't just flip a switch and batteries come out the other end of a brand new building. It takes time to build up that supply chain. And they only have had a year and a half, 2 years so far. Some companies are already making their batteries. Tesla's a fine example. But even they are struggling to make them in sufficiently high quantity. And they're still relying on the import, especially of LFP batteries. Remember, the LFP patent didn't expire in the US until I think earlier this year. So it was very hard to get any LFPs in the US at all. And it was very impossible to build a factory to make them until this year. Another year, I think, is the right approach. Give us a little more time to get those supplies in. And I can't blame, uh, you know, uh, companies trying to build cars in the US that are electric for their inability to secure batteries from factories that are still under construction. They haven't been built yet. So I think giving them a little breathing room is the right approach.
So this is actually a pretty big deal in my mind and a lot of people I've been talking to, because we haven't really talked a lot about it, but in January 1st, which is literally a month from now, people are going to be able to buy their electric vehicles. The big change is that, you can already get the discount of $7,500 right now, but it's a tax refund. So you have to wait the following year when you file your taxes to then get your refund back. In this case, by January 1st, people can see that the sticker price going to be reduced by $7,500. So when they go and try to buy an electric vehicle, it's going to be $7,500 less, means their loan is less. This is a big deal. We're going to see uptake in electric vehicle sales in the US specifically next year, starting January. But the concern we had was that it was going to be brought down to 3,750. If they can delay this, that's big, right? That's a big deal. That is, I think the other comment that Jeff made is, this is huge because that's slightly more than 10% of the cost of goods alone that comes off of invoice and provides Tesla latitude, protection on pricing and margin if this is true. Right? That's big numbers. What's your thoughts on, $3,750 being kept as a point of sale reduction?
So you're absolutely right. The 3,750 or even 7,500. If you buy a car in January and you have to wait until April of 2025 to get that discount, it's not going to help you with your payment in the meantime for sure. But being able to drop it by 10% right there out of the gate, that's going to help tremendously. Because especially on the Model 3, you're talking that's 10% of the purchase price just in the half credit. But this is a bigger benefit to the other guys, some of whom are actually trying to build and sell electric cars. Not all of them, but for the ones that are, they just have not had enough time to get their supply chain in order. And I think this delay a 1 year postponement on this small part of the rule, I think would give a lot of breathing room to these other companies and not force them. If they can only get, 5 megawatts of batteries, do you want them selling only hybrids, or can we be a little looser and get those into EVs where they should be? So I think that's the consideration that you need to think of there.
So what's your thinking about the potential impact to the stock price, right? Are investors going to recognize this? Because it's not just the price is going to be reduced. It's this kind of like reduction in the chance that Tesla will actually reduce prices even further, because this effectively acts as that, and margins can stay either flat or even improve over the year, because this gives them that as Jeff was saying, that bit. What do you think? Do you think that that's already built in today, or do you think that could actually be something that's going to bump it up?
I think it's built in. I think right now the only big moves we're going to see are hype related, things like the Cybertruck event. And that execution is the only thing that's really going to move it long term. And this is a key to its execution. This will help, but it will help mostly at the edges of sales. This will help that last 5% of people make it so they're able to actually afford it and get into the vehicle. I'd say the biggest obstacle right now is that a lot of people don't know that they can afford this. At Thanksgiving, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who thought my $50,000 car was $100,000. And I said, not only is it 50, it's got a $7,500 credit. This is a $42,000 car. Once people realize that, and they increasingly will, as they talk to people like me, they will buy.
Who do you think is going to benefit most? Is this going to be Tesla primarily, or do you think that and which ones is going to benefit from the U.S. sales?
Well, who else is building? The EV has to be built in the U.S. So that would be Mach-E, or North America. That would be the Lightning, the Mach-E, Rivian, if they can keep the price under the cap. But there just aren't a whole lot of EV makers in the U.S. right now. So I think BMW's got a plant in Mexico near Monterrey that they're trying to get online. This would count for them. So this isn't, the big winner would absolutely be Tesla.
Would absolutely be Tesla, right? Because I mean, we've shown the numbers. Tesla's 10 times more sales than the second of 260 of the, and they're hybrids. What do you think about what happened when, you know, the Prime Minister of China visited, or President of China visited the U.S. For the APAC event just happened just last month, right? Or a few weeks ago. Do you think that that had anything to do with it? He spoke very nice words about the U.S. and the relationship between China and the U.S.
I don't think it made. I don't think it made a difference. I think, especially on things like this, changing a bill, creating a new bill takes an act of Congress. There's a reason that metaphor is used to describe things that are incredibly difficult. But tweaking some of the rules within it is not as impossible because there are opportunities to interpret. I don't think Biden is persuaded necessarily by meetings like that. And I don't think I think the cabinet members who would be making those, who would be actually the ones making those decisions, are necessarily persuaded by in-person rhetoric, the way perhaps I would be. You know, come get in front of me. I turn out to be a nice guy.
You turn out to be a nice guy. Okay, thank you so much, Brian. Follow him on his YouTube channel at MyTeslaWeekend. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.